Don't give up hope. I had a really murky last 2 days. Just feeling like I know there's a big primal force, like ready to be unleashed, and just not. I realize the thoughts that keep coming up when I think of the vision that I know is real and inevitable in a way. But then I feel my current reality and the tension of that difference. What comes up most, like my limiting beliefs, are about not having enough resources. Like I don't have the capacity, I can't do it. And that there's a right way. So I'm like always asking, what's the next aligned step and highest good. And that's good, but it's also about spontaneity and, not even having to ask the question like I talked about in the last video. Yeah, I'm looking at this up here. Sorry, I don't know which way to go. Have patience with all that is unresolved in my heart and love the questions. Don't search for the answers, live the questions now. But it's so uncomfortable, right? Touching the void. And I was reminding myself, like, okay, if I tell students that when you're in that place where you don't know where you're going, that's actually the best place to be, because then you're an infinite possibility. But it doesn't feel great. And so I was sitting in that, and I went to visit. I decided to just get out, even though I didn't feel clear. And I went to DC and visited this place called the Josephine Butler House. And I was attracted to it because someone described it as an embassy of the earth. And my whole moon story is about the earth, and that's who I'm channeling for the performance. So, and they hold like weddings there and also like nonprofit stuff, and it seemed like a lot of activities going on. And it's right next to Malcolm X Park, or Meridian Park, which would be the 0 point. Thomas Jefferson wanted it as a 0 point, and I love that idea. So, but I was nervous for some reason about going. It's like I think I didn't know how to describe my performance, and I think I was just scared. But I went, and then realized they were closed, and I'm standing outside, and there's all these other organizations that are housed there, and they all sounded interesting to me. One was like called like the Global Innocence Network, and I'm all about like return to innocence, and or that we are already there, and something called servants or helpers of Jonas, something like that. And they're people offering healing services for at low prices, and also at regular prices for the community, so you can have a practice there and also be helping like the people that I originally wanted to help, which were like the people in prisons who are like really suffering emotionally, mentally, but all kinds of people. But then I was like feeling like, oh, am I just going to do like psychic readings? Because I know the readings can help people, but the reason why I don't offer them singly anymore and take people through like a journey is because they really shift things. They like awaken your divine potential, and it's something that takes time to integrate usually. And so anyway, I was feeling like, well, I really want to volunteer and help more people rather than me just being home doing my own creative thing all the time. But then I was like, oh, that means that I'd be staying in DC and not traveling and doing my show. So anyway, it was creating all this like confusion in me, and then thinking about the Korean woman the other day. Like I watched a webinar that she facilitated, and it was a professor talking about the issue of, sex slaves, and that even the term, female sex slaves or women sex slaves is a euphemism because it's really mostly girls, and no one's really talking about that. And the information was good, but I just felt like it was like not fresh, it was still more like a victim stance, and it was very academic. And when I pictured, doing a presentation for one of their symposiums, which she invited me to do, at first I was like, this is a great opportunity to be in front of people and support a cause I believe in. But I was already feeling like I had to, like, wondering if I would fit in, because some of it's like Christian, and it's very much about organization. And like, I'm like, would it be okay if I just came in and like did a performance piece about like the mother and getting out of control, and that being true freedom, and that the way to resolution on the outside is to like stop the inner violence, and that we're all responsible for it. Like, see, and the fact that that kind of voice isn't in there is part of also what makes me feel like I should be doing that. It's perfect. And then, the offer to have a job and like maybe get a master's degree through that. She also runs a university. All of that was very tempting, and it seems like a gift from the universe at the same time that it almost seems like a test. Like, okay, do you want to stay in this structured place, or are you really ready to surrender and like really just be close to the mother and living off nothing and trusting that having that level of like connection and love with the source of the world is going to change the rest of the world, because there's only one of us here and the universe lives within me. So then, right before I left DC, I went into a bookstore called Idle Time, and I saw a poster that immediately attracted my attention because it said sanctuary, which that's how I see myself. That's how I see the world. I want to as a sanctuary, a place where people feel safe and free. And they said they were accepting applications, and it was like art and sacred stuff. So I thought it was maybe like a contest or something. So I was like, that would be cool to enter something and see other people's stuff. So I went to the website, but it's an art collective, and it's just, again, they were speaking my language. The man who started it, wants to create sanctuaries, and all of a sudden it just felt so expansive to me. Like, I felt the fear of, like, I saw some of the videos and I was like, am I good enough, or what would it be like to actually be around other artists? Maybe I won't be able to stand my ground because I'm used to doing things alone. But it felt expansive, and like the offering is like meeting once a week and then creating art in your own time, which I already do, till April, from October to April, and that the tuition is covered because of like sponsors. I mean, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, it's like another thing. I'm just getting distracted. But it felt like all of the confusion around, like feeling like the meeting the Korean woman, the head of this association, was like a perfect divine meeting, but then feeling a little contracted, and then like going back into the world of like, having to print a resume and apply to a master's program and work hours for someone, and then even the Josephine Butler house, which is beautiful, and I'm like thinking of like how to rent it, and then wondering if I could volunteer as a healer, and how I would describe what I do. And if it would be an integrity for me to just do one-off healings. And then to get to this art thing, I felt like it was like I had to go through the process to recognize how much I do want a support, not as much a support system as a web, like to be collaborating, but not in an environment that makes me feel small, like that I feel like I have to contract or fit myself into before I can really express. It's like, no, the way you start a journey is the way it ends. So you can't go into it thinking, oh, if I just grin and bear it now, it will get better. It's like from the start, it has to feel like yes, and this does. So I'm like, I'm going to let the universe decide, because again, that would also mean I'm staying in DC, which I didn't expect. You know, again, a part of me wants to really go out into nature. But I sent in the application. I found out September 9th. And it was also gratifying, because even though I was insecure about like myself as an artist, at the same time I was watching some of these videos and I'm like, I do all of that. Like I do spoken word, I do creative storytelling, I paint, I design. And then I get home and I'm sitting on the earth and I get this message from a friend and chef at this beautiful campsite in West Virginia that I had magical sacred experiences in. And he offers me a job at this next event that's called Fall into Poly. So it's about falling into the world of polyamory. But I'd worked there as a sous chef with this great person in a beautiful kitchen, and I've already wanted to get into like the art of sensuality through cooking for years now. I never really gave myself, I've worked with food, but always in kind of like either a very like urgent work way or super simple, like when I eat for myself. But to be luxurious about it and to be paid, it just felt perfect, and to have time in this camp. So I was like thinking, and before I wouldn't have said yes to that because I keep myself open because I was imagining traveling. But it's like, no, if I'm going to this collective, I could totally be in the city doing this sacred activist stuff and then also go into the woods and feed myself and feed others, literally. And it's be funny that, working on the close to the earth is what would pay me, and what I'm doing in the city would be pure flow of giving and receiving. So thank you. Oh, and when I got that message about that, just the compliment of saying that I would be a great sous chef, which I've never done technically, and the job offer, I was writing down things I was thankful for. That's exactly what I was doing. Like, I had gotten to like the sixth thing. Yeah, I was saying the fact that I have the space to create and all these art supplies. The fact that I have a car, that I have time to create, that my parents are alive and healthy, that I can sit in the grass. And yeah, then I got that message.